A newly released propaganda video claims Iran's latest hypersonic missile can split the USS Abraham Lincoln in two. The message is blunt, the timing deliberate, and the warning unmistakable. Iran's state-run Islamic ideology dissemination organization has published footage purporting to show its Fattah ballistic missile striking a U.S. aircraft carrier. The video claims American defense systems are powerless against Iran's new generation hypersonic weapons, boasting speeds of up to Mach 13.
The Pentagon's naval doctrine is fundamentally built upon one core belief, the myth of the Aegis system's invulnerability. They are convinced that the SPY-6 radars and Standard 3 missiles have successfully created an impenetrable iron dome over the water. But in modern warfare, physics doesn't compromise with anyone. America's defense system operates on predictive interception, that is, calculating the target's trajectory. However, this formula is ineffective against Iran's new generation of hypersonic missiles. When a missile, traveling at a speed of Mach 13, enters its maneuver phase and alters its trajectory in a mere fraction of a second, the supercomputer on the naval vessel experiences computational paralysis. Furthermore, at this incredible speed, the plasma sheet effectively conceals the missile from radar detection. You cannot aim at something your system simply cannot perceive. However, the true nightmare is the underlying mathematics. Every single destroyer has a very limited ammunition magazine. In a saturation attack scenario, when hundreds of inexpensive projectiles are launched simultaneously alongside heavy missiles, the fire control system will experience manage to intercept 90% of the incoming targets. The $20 million munitions will be exhausted by the $20,000 drones, and at the very moment those launchers are completed, the the reaction time is less than 3 minutes. In this asymmetrical equation, aircraft carriers are no longer they are big, slow-moving targets who have quite voluntarily entered the killing zone. This is a war that America has already lost on the calculator before firing the very first bullet.
The release comes as reports confirm the U.S. aircraft carrier strike group is heading towards the Gulf amid rapidly escalating tensions with Tehran. President Donald Trump says an American armada is moving into the region, describing a large flotilla deployed just in case force is required.
We're watching Iran. You know, we have a lot of ships going that direction, just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction, and we'll see what happens. It's a big force. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I stopped 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to your Iran nuclear look like peanuts. And an hour before this horrible thing was going to take place, they canceled it. And they actually said they canceled it. They didn't postpone it. They canceled it. So that was a good sign. But we have an armada. We have a massive massive fleet heading in that direction. And maybe we won't have to use it. We'll see.
The USS Abraham Lincoln has altered course from the South China Sea and is now sailing towards the Middle East with its strike group. That group includes Arleigh Burke-class destroyers armed with Tomahawk cruise missiles capable of striking deep inside Iranian territory. U.S. officials confirm the ships are equipped with the Aegis combat system, designed to intercept ballistic and cruise missiles and aerial threats. Despite that capability, Iran's video openly challenges Washington's defenses, portraying a direct hit on the carrier as inevitable. Behind the scenes, diplomatic and military coordination is intensifying. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says an American delegation met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss Gaza and broader regional issues. According to Witkoff, the talks included senior White House advisors and focused on next steps in continued regional cooperation. Israeli media reports now suggest the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, and the United Kingdom could support U.S. military operations if conflict erupts. That support would reportedly include intelligence sharing, logistics, and participation in intercepting Iranian missiles and drones. The report says those defenses would protect Israel, U.S. bases, and strategic sites across the region. Iranian commanders are responding with explicit threats. Ali Abdullahi Ali Abadi warns that any attack would turn every U.S. base in the region into a legitimate target. Revolutionary Guard Commander General Mohammed Pakpour says Iran is more ready than ever with forces on hair-trigger alert. He warns Washington and Israel to avoid miscalculation as military assets converge and rhetoric harden.
Warning from Iran, delivered not in words but in action-packed video. Iran's Revolutionary Guard has released close-up video of a U.S. aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, accompanied by a blunt threat. There is no benefit to hiding, the IRGC said. Iran says the footage is not new, but the message is. This is a signal of readiness, not a record of a current operation. The Revolutionary Guard says it is prepared to strike U.S. aircraft carriers if war breaks out, pointing to attacks carried out by Iran-aligned forces, including Yemen's Houthis, as precedent. The warning comes as American warships move toward the Middle East amid rising regional tensions. On Saturday, the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps escalated the rhetoric further. IRGC Commander General Mohammed Pakpour said the force is, quote, more ready than ever, finger on the trigger. Pakpour said the IRGC is prepared to carry out any order issued by Iran's supreme leadership. His remarks were reported by Iran's Noor news outlet and confirmed by the Associated Press. The general also warned the United States and Israel to avoid what he called any, quote, miscalculation. The warning follows another statement last week by an Iranian ambassador who accused Washington and Israel of fueling political destabilization and unrest inside Iran. The confrontation comes amid weeks of massive anti-regime protests
on Sunday
across
to
Iran
voice their
and a
anger.
violent government crackdown in which the Revolutionary Guard has played a central role. President Donald Trump has openly backed Iranian protesters, increasing pressure on Tehran.
At the
Israeli
fatal
Prime
shooting
Minister
of a
Benjamin Netanyahu has also voiced
for
support,
justice for
saying
30
Israel is
Freddy,
closely
who
monitoring
was shot
events
by a
inside
border
Iran.
patrol agent on
Netanyahu added that if Iran were, quote, liberated from the yoke of tyranny, Israel would be ready to be a partner in peace. With American carriers approaching, Iranian drones on display, and warnings growing sharper by the day, the standoff is entering a dangerous phase. A message from Tehran that leaves little room for misunderstanding and even less room for error. Iran's supreme leader has gone underground. As U.S. warships surge toward the Middle East and tensions spike to their highest level in years, new reports say Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has moved into a fortified bunker in Tehran, amid fears a U.S. strike may be imminent. What's unfolding is not just military brinksmanship, but a crisis converging on multiple fronts: war warnings abroad and unrest at home. According to Interan International, citing two informed sources, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has relocated to a heavily fortified underground shelter
captured
in
on
Tehran.
video.
The complex is described as a wartime facility with interconnected tunnels designed to withstand potential attacks. The report adds that Khamenei's third son, Masoud Khamenei, has assumed day-to-day
This
control
month,
of the Supreme
the
Leader's
first
office,
on January
acting
7th,
as the main
involved
channel of
Renee
communication
Good.
with
It
Iran's
also was
executive
captured on
leadership.
videos.
The move comes as tensions between Tehran and Washington escalate
Was
sharply.
captured on videos.
Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump said a powerful American naval armada was heading toward the Middle East. Speaking aboard Air Force One, Trump said the deployment was being made just in case he decides to act against Iran. U.S. Navy officials have confirmed that the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and multiple guided missile destroyers are currently positioned in the Indian Ocean. They are expected to reach the Middle East in the coming days. Additional air defense systems are also being repositioned, likely to protect U.S. and Israeli air bases. Britain has also entered the picture. The UK has announced it will deploy RAF Euro Typhoon jets to Qatar, following a request from Doha, as regional tensions continue to rise.
Wake up and see what's happening.
Iran has responded with stark warnings. Revolutionary Guard Commander General Mohammad Pakpour said Iranian forces are more ready than ever, with their finger on the trigger, prepared to carry out the supreme leader's orders. A senior Iranian official told Reuters that any attack on Iran would be treated as an all-out war, warning Tehran would respond in the hardest way possible. The external standoff comes against the backdrop of deepening unrest inside Iran. Weeks of protests, sparked by economic hardship and a sharp collapse of the Iranian rial, have spread nationwide since late December. Authorities responded with a sweeping security crackdown and what activists describe as the longest and most extensive internet shutdown in Iran's history. The U.S.-based human rights activists news agency, HRANA, reports at least 5,002 people were killed during the crackdown. That figure includes 4,716 demonstrators, 43 children, and 40 civilians not directly involved in protests. HRANA also says at least 26,541 people were arrested. Iranian authorities have not confirmed these numbers. Addressing an emergency session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, UN High Commissioner Volker Turk said thousands, including children, had been killed. He urged Iran to end what he called brutal repression, calling for a moratorium on the death penalty and raising concerns about forced confessions and summary trials. Amid mounting international pressure, Iran has acknowledged diplomatic backing from India. Mohammad Fattah, Iran's ambassador to New Delhi, publicly thanked India for opposing a UN Human Rights Council resolution aimed at scrutinizing Iran's rights record. He called India's vote principled and firm, a rare show of support at a moment of soaring Iran-US tensions. Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Khamenei has gone underground. U.S. warships are moving into position, and Iran warns of all-out war. The Middle East is poised on a knife's edge. This is no longer just a diplomatic crisis. It is a collision, military escalation, internal unrest, and global power
Everyone's
politics
being hassled, everyone's
unfolding
being
in
harassed.
real